good. Okay, we'll reconvene our June 22nd meeting of Dublin City Council. We'll begin with the pledge. Merle, you want to lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Well, welcome everybody. We have a special presentation here this evening. We have an update from Dublin Convention and Visitor Bureaus. Mr. Drang, welcome. And we have Frank Wilson, our council representative to DCVB.
Good evening. I'm Frank Wilson, City Council representative for the Dublin Convention and Visitors Bureau. Being on the board for a few months as council's representative, I've been struck by how well run the organization is, as well as the coalition that exists between Dublin businesses, Dublin hotels, and Dublin's dining and entertainment offerings. It's truly been an honor to represent you. Our staff annually creates a detailed sales and marketing plan with very specific objectives and measurable goals. These goals help staff and the Bureau achieve its overall mission to attract visitors and their travel dollars to Dublin and help market our city as a great destination. You'll find in your packet the results of the last fiscal year's plan that included a 27% increase in website visitors, a 51% increase in social media engagement. It generated 7,227 new room nights and reached more than 3 million impressions through earned media, among others. Staff had a remarkable year surpassing these goals and has a great start to next year already. This afternoon, the board approved the Bureau's 2015-16 sales and marketing plan, as well as the fiscal year 2016 budget. Information on both is included in your packet. You will notice that staff has very aggressive goals and more than 100 tactics and programs to help meet these goals. The Bureau is very focused on measurable results, and we look forward to reporting the progress to our key stakeholders throughout the year. We also approved our new board of directors for the upcoming year. We are excited to announce that Brian Deach from the Dublin City Schools and Dr. David Lee from Ohio Health have joined the board. Sandra Kowalik is our new president, and your other city council representative to the board, Phil Smith, is our president-elect. With that, thank you very much, and I'd like to introduce our executive director, Scott Drang.
Thank you. Scott?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
How are you? A couple quick updates since the last time we spoke. We've had a couple big wins in terms of bringing some international, national events to town, totaling almost 1,800 room nights and $3 million of economic impact into the city. One was the National Safety and Flight Evaluation Conference, or SAFECON, which you guys are familiar with. They have again up to be in Dublin for the 4th consecutive year in May of 2016. A new one that we're excited about is the Midwest Teen and Bike Rally, which will be here September 2nd and 3rd, 2017. SAFECON is an event that you, through the bed tax grant, have supported over the years, and we thank you for that. Obviously, that played a major role in getting them back here to the city of Dublin. That will attract over 30 college teams that fly out of Don Scott Field. It's one of these examples where the event itself isn't in Dublin, but all their events, their hotels, restaurants, all that stuff is headquartered here in Dublin, so we really reap the economic benefit of them being in our town for that event. The other unique event that's coming into town in 2017 is the Midwest Teen and Bike Rally, which will bring over 700 room nights and over 350 teams from 33 states and 3 countries. And it's not a race per se, it's literally an event that they go around between 29 to 100 miles. A lot of biking enthusiasts. It includes various rides, seminars and such will be there for the weekend. So it's a national event that brings visitors from all over the country there as well. And again, in a few weeks, we're excited to have the Top Gun football camp again, back for the 3rd straight year. 1,500 participants will be here from all over the United States, all 50 states. They'll be here July 16th through 22nd at Jerome High School. Last year, that was the largest event we had through the entire year, almost 4,000 room nights. And we would not be able to have that event here if it wasn't for your support, Dublin City Schools, and nationwide as well, Children's Sports Medicine. Finally, we're excited to launch for the first time tonight a new campaign that we're looking at. And a campaign that we typically do, we wanted to do something different. We wanted, one, create an authentic campaign, create a campaign that really had some shelf life that was long-lasting, and a campaign that utilized video. In our business, especially selling destinations and tourism destinations, you know, video is critical. In fact, In the next coming years, 74% of all internet activity by 2017 will be video-based. So it's the way of the future. It's the way the present of how people are looking and deciding destinations is through video. So what we did is we decided to use our greatest champions to help sell the city of Dublin. That's the residents. And so we went out initially, and we've created a couple videos to give you an idea of what these videos will look like. But the campaign itself is based on our residents, our champions, just sharing why Dublin is so special, why visitors should come to Dublin, and told that way. It's a lot harder, and when people pay us to say great things about Dublin, but when residents get up there and talk about it firsthand and share their enthusiasm, it spends a lot of weight. So we're going to show you, they're very brief videos, 45 seconds, a few videos that we've created, and we'll go from there.
I'm so glad we live here in Dublin. There's so much to do. Oh, thank you. Coming out tonight. This is great. I'm so glad they brought the Blarney Bash back. This is so fun.
Running fast in my homeland. Running fast to save my life tonight. Running fast, you know it's gonna be alright.
Share your So Dublin moment.
Okay, we're gonna make you an official leprechaun. That's fun. You are ready for the parade. We're following the horses. Look at them.
Running fast in my homeland. Running fast to save my life tonight. Running fast, you know it's gonna be alright.
Share your So Dublin moment.
Check this out, guys.
Irish is an attitude.
The bars are right here. Let's go that way.
Well, I'm ready. You guys ready? Let's go.
Let's go.
Running fast in my homeland. Running fast to save my life tonight. Running fast, you know it's gonna be alright.
Here we go.
Share your So Dublin moment.
The golf course is absolutely beautiful. This is top notch.
Heard Tigers coming through here pretty soon.
This is the Memorial Garden. It's really neat to bring your kids out here or bring your business clients out.
Just a nice little way to kill some time and really enjoy the history of golf.
You see them come there, 100 yards out and put one foot from the cup, and the crowd goes nuts. I mean, it's why you got to be here in person. Share your So Dublin moment.
We're here at the beautiful Scioto Park, one of our favorite places to go on a Sunday afternoon.
This park is awesome because you come down here, you're next to the river. There's a little bit of hiking up the mountain there the kids enjoy.
Hold with the front finger here, and then your middle finger is going to go right next to your thumb. Share your So Dublin moment.
So that gives you an idea, some of the videos. You notice that the So Dublin, the hashtag, the reason we do that, we're going to aggregate that. So whenever someone posts a video or photo, they do the hashtag So Dublin, then we can kind of see exactly people are doing it and push it out that way as well. And it's really a campaign developed by the people of Dublin. So we're excited about it. We think it has a lot of legs. I think it's going to engage the local residents. I think our first goal right now during the summer is not to push it out externally, is to get as many videos as we can from residents. We want residents to shoot their own videos, to take their own pictures, send it to us. We have a new website on irishisandattitude.com that all the information they need to do is there to begin to send us information. Then as we get enough videos, we hope to have 40, 50, 60 videos and images to begin to push out. And it's a campaign that we think will last for years. This isn't like a one-year kind of thing, that we're going to have a really strong supply of stuff as well. I think the other thing I really like about this campaign is it goes much well beyond just promoting to visitors. I think it speaks to potential new residents, new businesses, new investors, because it really gives people an authentic feel of what the city of Dublin is like from a resident perspective. So to give you guys kind of in the spirit of things, to make sure you guys shoot your own videos, we have a gift.
Oh, no.
Who knows what this is? It's a selfie stick. Correct. So we have selfie sticks for you guys.
You're going to have to teach me how to work the camera phone
I'm
first.
gonna do it for you, Mayor. All right.
Do we all have iPhones at this point?
Yeah,
Or
no.
flipping?
So all you do is you take your iPhone, put it in here like this. This little thing plugs into it.
That's
And then you turn your camera on, and then the stick actually can go out like this, and there's a little button here to take the picture. So I'm venturing to gather this might be the first selfie ever taken at Dublin City Council. So
it's likely going to be the last one, too.
there you go. So
Very good.
yeah, that's all right.
It seems a little narcissistic to me, but what do I know? Yeah, there you go. Very good.
Any questions I can answer?
It was well done. Thank you, Scott. Anybody have any questions?
Nice job on the food and travel story. That was really great, wasn't
Good.
it? Yeah, nice pictures.
Yeah, good visibility.
I understand staff has been working with you from a communication perspective with respect to the football camp and how you're going to get around town, and I think that's important, not only for that, but for our other venues that are coming to town. Hopefully they'll continue to help you in that
Yeah, they've
area.
been phenomenal. I think, residents know how to get around town. Visitors sometimes are a little bit challenged because they're not used to it, and the staff has worked great with this, customizing different maps to get us to Jerome is a good example, getting from hotels to Jerome High School and how we do that. So, and the events themselves, they're fine with it. I mean, they know there's improvements everywhere, and they'll get there fine. So
Very good.
It's been great.
Thank you. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Frank. Appreciate it. That'll bring us to citizen comments. Mr. Maurer, is that you back there behind the podium? Couldn't see you back there hiding. Welcome.
Thank you. I was not at the last council meeting, which is probably a relief for you.
No comment.
But I had a hard time sleeping a week ago or so. And one of my ways of getting out of that is to turn on the TV, because there's enough to put you to sleep there, or it releases the excitement and tension I'm in. Well, what would I hit but this council meeting, which I missed? And it gripped me because it started off like Charlie Aruma was here, and he said, I think this is probably my swan song. Well, the thing escalated rapidly into a Wagnerian opera with Charlie as the heavy tenor. And in no time whatsoever, there was a countertenor in the person of our own John Reiner. So we had a Wagnerian opera going there.
Wagnerian.
Yeah.
Very good.
And I couldn't sleep the rest of the night. It was so sad.
So John doesn't put you to sleep is what I'm hearing.
No, not quite. But second item, once in a while when the talk around here gets to Dublin and the Globe and the Global, you may find me tending to become a bit playful. But the other day, I realized there probably is one item which is global in its nature, is coming out of this place. And I think it is, and I don't have enough historical information to see whether there are other comparable cases, but I think it is the fantastic speed, decade or so, with which this town became a sample of economic and technological development. There was an amazing confluence of forces here in the town, which snowballed into kind of effective cross-pollination. Well, I'm getting all my figures all mixed up, but never mind. Pollination, which led to a fantastic economic and technological development. And it is probably a global mark, so take it. Of course, as I said before, it's not a place where you stop. It's the basis for a really tremendously many-sided culture developing in the city. So, yeah, I think that is a global mark, that development. It's happened in larger cities, in Los Angeles, New York, and so on, but for a city this size, 40,000, that was an amazing achievement, I think.
Well stated, and I think it's due in large part. It didn't just happen overnight. Many past councils have been involved in this, and this council continues to move the needle forward as well. So appreciate your comments.
Yeah. Okay, that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Maurer. Mr. Herring, you want to state your name and address for the record?
Yes, good evening. My name is Scott Herring. I live at 3280 Lilymar Court, which is just off of Martin Road. I was a little surprised, something I read in the paper. Like Mr. Maurer, I was not at the last Dublin County City Council meeting, and that's the first one I missed in some time. But I do subscribe to the Business First newspaper, and there's a story in there. The key quote said, this is the author describing an interview with Crawford Hoying, and the quote went, "The only thing we have left to do is sign a development agreement, which we expect to do by the end of June." And then it went on to say that demolition on the site is complete and some foundations already built. And the final phrase was, in terms of vertical construction that starts in July. I thought, wow, maybe I missed one of the meetings. This development agreement, I guess I'm of the impression that it's still in the works, and I guess from back in January timeframe, I thought that was going to be one of the front-end pieces of this. Who's doing what will the city do, and that anything else would fall on a developer. But yes, I've certainly seen that demolition has occurred, and dirt's being moved, and things are pretty far along.
We've addressed the demolition piece probably 2 meetings ago. Dana, maybe you want to revisit that real quickly for Mr. Herring's benefit.
Sure. So relative to demolition, certainly you've seen a lot of that on the east side of the river, the 94-100 North High Street buildings come down relative to Crawford Hoying's ownership. The city has also demolished several buildings in the area on the east side of the river. If you go back to the Wendy's that the city purchased, the used to be Mark Pye's restaurant, the Spotted River Ridge, as well as Digger and Fitch restaurant. And all of that was in anticipation of the new alignment of Riverside Drive. The Bridgepoint Shopping Center, Crawford Hoying, who owned that, decided to tear that down, which is their prerogative. Access changed as a result as well with the new Riverside Drive and the roundabout. So the Tim Hortons, the car wash, and the shopping center came down. You know, a property owner would have the right to take down property. There's no reason that we, as a city, would necessarily get in the way of that. They are the owner of it. They permitted that. I went through the permit process to have that done. So they went forward and took down their own property, as we took down the properties that the city owned in preparation for the new roadway system.
And we continue to work on the economic development agreement.
Any kind of time frame on that?
We're hopeful that it'll be soon. But there's not going to be one until this council and staff is assured that it's in the city's best interest.
Excellent. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Herring.
If I could comment.
Please.
For the benefit of Mr. Herring and others, that have posed this question, anything that a property owner does on their site, in this case Crawford Hoying, is entirely at their risk. All right, there's no guarantee that there will be a development agreement. I'm sure that in your lifetime, Mr. Herring, that you've entered into some contracts, and those contracts are not effective until they're executed. A home sale, for example. Until everybody shows up at the closing and signs those documents, there's not a sale. And anything could happen up until the 11th hour, which could cause that deal not to be consummated. Now, certainly the city is negotiating in good faith with Crawford Hoying towards a development agreement. But, I would expect that you have observed in and around Dublin many instances where a developer engages in site development, prior to getting final approval. I could point you out to west of the city on 161, where I think everybody knows Costco, has plans, hopefully, from their perspective, to build something. And there's been site development there, and there's not final approval. We've heard about Amazon. I don't think that's a secret anymore. Amazon began doing site development on their sites before they got final approval. It happens. And I don't think that there is anything particularly unusual about this, about the demolition that they did on North High Street, or the site development that they're doing along Riverside Drive.
If I could just chime in on just to make sure it's clear, the Costco site is within Jerome Township and approved by Jerome Township. All their permitting is through the Union County, and they are undertaking site preparation out there. And I would argue some of that is at their own risk in that the infrastructure is not approved by the county and so forth. And similarly with the Amazon project, Amazon VA Data is who is the actual company that we worked with, although they're the subsidiary of Amazon, did go through their review processes at the ART level as it's in the West Innovation District. There was a development agreement approved, and there was some work starting to happen through that permitting process sometimes, but relative to demolition, I just want to make sure we separate the two. People, a property owner would have the right to tear down a property as long as they go through the permitting process. It doesn't always require a zoning process to tear down a property. It's a permitting process. So it's two very different processes. So.
And I appreciate that clarification, Dana. And with respect to Amazon, I wasn't speaking just of Dublin, but the other sites that they're developing in Central Ohio.
Hilliard, they were well underway.
That was the, and I didn't call out Hilliard, but that was, I should have been more clear.
Very good, thank you. That'll bring us to consent agenda. Does anybody have any items they'd like to remove? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the actions for the 8 items listed.
So moved.
There's a second? Second. Thank you, Ann.
Mr. Lechleiter?
Yes.
Mr. Reiner?
Yes.
Mayor Keenan?
Yes.
Ms. Genesee Zerker?
Yes.
Mr. Peterson? Mr. Gerber?
Yes.
And Ms. Saleh?
Very good. I think we're at ordinance 39-15.
Authorizing execution of an infrastructure agreement to provide for the construction of public infrastructure improvements relating to a residential development and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Dana.
Yes, this is, as reported last time to council, this is a continuation of the Casto-Taller Flats development, the previous items that have been before City Council. So this is just bringing to closure the infrastructure agreement itself. I believe Terry's still here this evening if you have any specific questions about the infrastructure agreement.
Council, any questions?
No.
We do have some public testimony. Mr. Maurer, you've signed up to speak on 39-15.
I have a whole host of questions, but they're all choked out because there's just one little bitty piece of information I want. And after sifting through it, what I really want is the original TIF agreement. And I gathered from reading that that was announced and brought out in the council meeting of January, one of the council meetings in January. And what I really want, I suppose I could get it from the clerk, is the original TIF agreement. I'd like to see the figures. Yeah, that's it. One little side question. Is this the biggest TIF this city has ever gotten into?
Is that a pun? Thank you.
No, it's not intended to be a pun.
Well, it was a good one.
Yeah, I know. I knew it when I gave it, but that's not my intent.
Angel, I see you saying no, it's not the biggest TIF that we.
What is the biggest?
A million.
Yeah. But there is a bigger one. Oh, okay. All right, thank you. I'd like to know, hear about it, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Maurer. And William Goldman, if you'd like to come forward. You've signed up to speak on this as well. Welcome. I'm sorry?
40, not this one, 40-50.
Oh, well, I have it on the wrong one. I'll move you down then. Okay, so.
Well, he's that much closer to the lectern.
It's right there on the sheet. It must be so. Okay, so with that, any other council questions or discussion? If not, is there a motion to treat this as an emergency?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. On the motion?
Ms. Janice Zerker?
Yes.
Mr. Reiner?
Yes.
Mr. Lucklider?
Yes.
Mr. Peterson? Vice Mayor Gerber?
Yes.
Ms. Salee?
Yes.
Mayor Keenan?
Yes. And on the ordinance?
Vice Mayor Gerber?
Yes.
Ms. Janice Zerker?
Yes.
Mr. Lucklider?
Yes.
Mr. Reiner?
Yes.
Mayor Keenan?
Yes.
Ms. Salee?
Yes.
Very
Mr.
good. Thank
Peterson?
you. That will take us to ordinance 40-15.
Authorizing the city manager to execute a real estate exchange agreement and the necessary conveyance documentation to acquire 1.20 acres, more or less fee simple interest from the Central Ohio Transit Authority located adjacent to and north of Dale Drive in exchange for 0.815 acres, more or less, to be owned by the city located adjacent to and west of Dale Drive and north of State Route 161 for the replacement of a Dakota Park and Ride and declaring an emergency.
Damon?
Yes, thank you. So this is also an ongoing effort with CODA to relocate the existing park and ride on Dale Drive. The major parts of this agreement are simply that the city and CODA will swap the existing site for another adjacent site almost adjacent to the existing park and ride for the purpose of relocating the park and ride. CODA will continue to operate there for a short period of time. They will move to a temporary location, which is the old Byers Chevrolet site, which is now owned by the city. They will operate there for a period of time, probably about a year or so, as the new site is prepared in accordance with the agreement that would represent the new site and the new park and ride, also on Dale Drive. That's the quick summary of it, if you have any questions.
Council is very familiar with this, and we've been very familiar with this for many months.
And I do want to just say, I want to thank CODA for their cooperation on this. I anticipate that, and Mr. Goldman is here, he may address you, I'm not sure. We anticipate that the CODA board will take action on this Wednesday, the 24th, and it is our goal to close on this property yet that afternoon.
Very good. Council, any input, questions? If not, I see Mr. Herring, you've signed up for this ordinance as well. Would you like to come forward? I'm not. I'm going to do him second.
Yes, Scott Herring, 3280 Lily Mar Court. So this had come up in January, this topic, and at that time the ordinance was multifaceted. As I recall, it was predicated by a map being drawn that showed the existing park and ride lot to be bisected by the new street. And I thought I'd ask the question then, so if this is just a matter of right-of-way for the new street, shouldn't there just be an action to acquire that stripe? And I never really understood what would happen to the flank on either side then if the city took the entire parcel. So now I see we're back to this with, okay, we're seeking the entire parcel in the trade. I guess I just wonder why the city needs to be involved in this as opposed to just letting CODA move somewhere else or take this in their own hands. That's what I'd like to hear.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Good question. So this does have to do with developing new right-of-way and new roadway. So it's imperative that the city, in accordance with its roadway plans, acquire in some fashion, in this case a swap, to enable the new roadway to be built. One could say, well, there is residual on the property after you subtract out what is the right-of-way, but it's very small residual. The city has had a past practice of working with the property owner, and actually if there is a residual, what you would call a residual damage, the city would typically, it's been our practice to go ahead and buy the whole property. There are lots and lots of examples of that around the city where we've done that, and I'll defer to Steve if he has anything he wants to add to that.
Yeah, Mr. Harrington, when we have property appraised, we appraise on damage to the roadway we're taking, and then we appraise on damage to the residual. When you start adding those two together, in 95% of the time, it's better to buy the whole property, because in essence, you've paid somebody to screw up their property, then you're going to pay them for damage to the residual, and they still have to move, and so then you have, it works out at the end. This is a much fairer way to do this than as Dana described, and we've done it in many places in the city. And we will be relocating CODA at another location so they continue to serve our residents. Thank you.
If I could make a quick comment with regard to that, and I appreciate what you said, Steve. Mr. Herring, I think another point that might be missed here is we view CODA as a strategic partner, and we pride ourselves on our partnerships and how many different partnerships we've had as a city over the years that have made our community so much more successful. And viewing CODA as a strategic partner, it is in our interests, our residents' interests, that we partner with them to figure out an alternative for them. Yeah, I guess we could have said, we're taking your land, sorry about your luck, you need to go find a new place for your park and ride, but that really doesn't serve the greater interests of our community and that partnership that we have with CODA. So I think that that's something that we need to be mindful of, and something that certainly the council has been mindful of over and staff as well, these past several months.
That's a great point that Councilmember Saleh makes. And I would add too that, this park and ride is much like an operating business. So similarly to what we've done with our partnership with Wendy's and what we did in the purchase of Wendy's, the city did contribute towards the relocation of Tim Hortons, and of course the spa at River Ridge. So where you had operating businesses, in addition to the purchase of the property, there is some level of responsibility in the relocation of that. So not only do we have the strategic partnership as another quasi-governmental entity, but also they're running a business there. So it's another way to look at that as well.
Thank you. Now, William Goldman, welcome again. If you'd state your name and address for the record, please.
Yeah, it's William Goldman, 500 West Main Street, Columbus, Ohio. And I'm here really to thank Dublin, I think especially Dana McDaniels and Mr. Smith for the cooperation that's been extended to CODA. And I agree with your comments completely, and that was CODA's attitude in coming into this. We have a partnership. This park and ride was established 20 years ago. It represents the most successful park and ride in the system, and we're just pleased with the cooperation. So Curtis Stitt, the general manager, and I and Gary Tober, the general counsel, would like to thank you very much. We think the partnership between Dublin and CODA is a strategic partnership, and we think the future will ride on it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and we appreciate it, and looking forward to the vote on Wednesday then. Thank you. Okay, so with that, is there any other questions or discussion from council? I'm going to make a motion there, Vice Mayor.
Motion to treat as I'll move to treat this as an emergency.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you. Ann?
Vice Mayor Gerber?
Yes.
Mr. Reiner?
Yes.
Ms. Saleh?
Yes.
Mr. Peterson? Yes. Mr. Lechleiter?
Yes.
Mayor Keenan?
Yes.
Mr. Nissi Zerker?
Yes.
And on the ordinance?
Ms. Saleh?
Yes.
Mr. Nissi Zerker?
Yes.
Mr. Peterson? Yes. Mayor Keenan?
Yes.
Mr. Lechleiter?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gerber?
Yes.
And Mr. Reiner?
Yes.
Very good. Thank you again, Mr. Goldman, and your associates. We appreciate it. Appreciate you coming out tonight. That will bring us to ordinance 43-15.
Amending the annual appropriations ordinance for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2015.
I'll introduce it.
Thank you, Angel.
Good evening, members of council. This is a routine piece of legislation that normally you consider in December, but we wanted to take this opportunity and just get our accounts cleaned up halfway through the year here. The majority of these pertain to contracts that you have awarded through other legislative activity thus far this year. I do want to specifically draw your attention to Section 16, and I just wanted to bring this up because, as you know, we awarded approximately a $22 million roadway contract for the realignment of Riverside Drive, the roundabout, and some park work. We will be advancing those funds from the general fund just temporarily until we issue debt here this fall. So when you get your second quarter update, you're going to notice that our general fund balance has declined. It will still be in excess of the 50% reserve, and that's why we have fund balance, but it will be replenished as soon as we have that bond issue and get those proceeds.
Very good. Any council questions? I had one quick one with respect to I see the water tower. We were transferring the balance to the water tower.
Yes, we just had some residual funds left over from that bond issuance, which if you have any unspent proceeds, you need to transfer
Right.
that into your bond retirement
So
fund.
my question was, do we have any other water tower projects on the horizon, or?
We don't.
Thank
We
you.
don't.
That's good to know. Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I'll move to dispense with the public hearing.
Thank you.
Second.
Mr. Lechleiter?
Yes.
Mayor Keenan?
Yes.
Mr. Reiner?
Yes.
Mr. Peterson? Ms. Janice Zerker?
Yes.
Ms. Salee?
Yes.
And Vice Mayor Gerber?
Yes.
And on the ordinance?
Ms. Janice Zerker?
Yes.
Mr. Lechleiter?
Yes.
Mayor Keenan?
Yes.
Mr. Reiner?
Yes.
Mr. Peterson? Ms. Salee?
Yes.
And Vice Mayor Gerber?
Yes.
Very good. To staff comments, Dana?
Yes, just very quickly, want to announce that Tracy G., and I think I got information out to you late last week, was appointed our new Director of Recreation Services, and I just wanted to extend a public congratulations to her. And also, we will be announcing in the next day or so, pending the individual's notification to their employer, that we will have a new Chief Information Officer announcement yet this week. So I'm very excited about that. Before you are a couple of memos, one from Chief Heinz von Eckertsburg about the Independence Day traffic plan, and then a second one is a letter to Jerome Township Planning Commission from our staff relative to the proposed Schottenstein Real Estate Group proposal at the Jockeman Farm site on Highland Croy, and staff is there this evening entering this into the record. So I just wanted you to have a copy of that, and that was placed at your seat. That's all I have.
Very good. We'll go to committee reports. Amy, Planning and Zoning?
We had a meeting 2 weeks ago, almost, and actually approved the development plans of Bridge Park East. So that was exciting to get that completed. And now we're working on master sign plans. So for the policy and for the larger Bridge Street district, not just individual projects.
Very good.
That's what's going on.
Thank you. Admin?
Nothing new to report.
John, on community development?
Nothing new, thank you.
Finance, Marilee? Public Services, Amy? And DAC, John?
Nothing.
Board of Education, Greg?
We had a meeting was that just last Wednesday, Dana? City staff and I met with the Board of Education, Dr. Hoadley, and a couple of board members. I find these meetings really helpful. You know, I think the schools in the city think very, very much alike on a lot of issues, and keeping each other informed on what's on the front burner is very helpful, and I find them informative. Also, thank you very much for the memo about the win-win thing. If anybody didn't get a chance to read it, I'd highly recommend you read it, because it helped me at least understand the whole thing.
Sure does.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Marilee, Morpsey?
We had a MORPC board meeting June 11th, and there's a lot going on. Some of the important things that were discussed was we have a license plate fee task force, and we're going to be making recommendations on to MORPC's board about whether this might be a venue that individual municipalities are permitted by law actually to charge, in addition to whatever the base is, BMV for your license plate, you actually can add an additional charge to it that can go for infrastructure development and maintenance of the infrastructure in your community. And with the reduction in a lot of the local government funds that many of the municipalities belonging to Morpsey used for this purpose, they're looking at the license plate fees as a means that cities could use this opportunity if they chose to raise some additional funds. Thank you.
Excuse me, just so I understand. So when somebody goes to the local BMV to renew their registration, I guess, they would track it back to what your address is?
Mm-hmm. We don't do this right now, right? We don't have an add-on, but we could have been having an add-on had we wanted to. And so the proposal is some additional add-on that you could have in different amounts that would go for the infrastructure development. We don't currently exercise our right to do the add-on, but Dublin could actually be receiving money for people who live in Dublin and are renewing their license plate.
But some cities do?
Yes.
We do get revenue based off of statutory formula. We don't have an
Add-on.
Right. But some cities are collecting
Yes.
this. Interesting. Thank you.
Very good. Northwest 33 corridor, Tim.
Nothing, thank you.
Thank you. Roundtable, Greg.
Just a quick comment and then a question. A comment, congratulations, I guess would be to you, Dana. The new hires that you have been announcing over the last couple of weeks are truly impressive individuals. It's a testament to this team that you're building. It is very impressive. And then my question is, down at the roundabout, they've put in these cement towers that look like they have a manhole cover at the top. Is that how high the road is going to be? Is it really?
The one at Riverside Drive and 161, the manhole in the northeast corner, that is the height of that's the ultimate height of the roadway.
Wow, so there's going to be an incline from the bridge up to the roundabout.
I remember some early meetings when it was higher than that, but I think it came down some, so, yeah.
Okay. Have you seen it? You got to go look at it. There's going to be a lot of dirt.
It was a complicated design. I think the engineers would say, yep, that one was pretty complicated, so.
A lot of dirt.
You got to remember, too, it kind of moves up the hill a little bit, so, yeah.
All right, thank you. Amy?
I do not have anything, thank you.
Marlene?
I just wanted to follow up. We had our sewer, or the committee had its sewer and water extension meeting, and I happened to attend it too. When will we have that brought to council for some decisions about change in policy or to confirm existing policy that's been questioned by someone that was in attendance? And so I'm curious as to, I think we had left it that day that something would be brought to council later this summer.
The policy relative to the petitioning process will be brought back. When do you think that Megan will come back? First meeting in August,
Right.
I think at the latest. I think we feel pretty good about that. Then, at least from staff's perspective at this point, the CIP process will also need to address any deployment plans.
Yeah, I recall now that even though we'd had this policy and the petition policy and all, it really wasn't in writing. And it was just something that we had operationalized over the years. And so that was the reason to have it put in writing, if I recall.
The two policies really that have been in place have been relative to the 85% participation and the extension of main lines and the city's willingness to pay for the extension of the main lines. Then it is the requirement to hook up, which has been on the books not only for the city but also for the public health department. So those have been on the books for a long time. This petitioning process relative to getting your neighborhood or your area, we're calling them, onto the list or in advance of others or what have you, or if you experience a crisis, is kind of a new procedural process that we're getting into writing. But it's somewhat been practiced in the
Right.
past. Yeah, so trying to get, and we benchmarked that off of some other cities that we studied.
I'd just like to add, yeah, I'm personally, I'm interested in a broad brush kind of policy discussion on this with respect to both the main line and to the timing and the hookup. And I think that should be done at the CIP timeframe, and maybe there's some things you can do to prepare us for that kind of discussion. The more I think about this, the more thought that I've put into it. I really believe whatever that, whether it be over 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 2025, 2030, that we probably should really think about putting those main lines in. If we can put bike paths in around the city and on the boulevard at Muirfield, we certainly should think hard about connectivity of water and sewer for the balance of our residents, a city this size. So I would submit to council that that'd be something I'd be interested in talking about more at CIP.
That's what I wondered too. I missed the discussion. I was out of town. But I was curious if we came up with anything new in terms of we have certain areas that have health issues, and did we talk about, for lack of a better term, forcing folks to connect based on the health issues? Because we have a larger environmental impact that we have, and then furthermore, there's the health and safety issue, and then third of all, ultimately, and I remember Councilmember Boring, was one who said, I think, and I think we all concurred, the goal of the municipality is always to have service connectivity for all the residents, and at some point, I think folks, naturally may not, if their particular situation is such that they don't need it, they won't be interested in connecting. But I think there's a larger issue that I'm interested in exploring, which is, the city needs to have everybody connected.
I agree, and I think we can, with respect to the implementation of that, I think that's a policy discussion, but it doesn't have to be 90 days. We have the ability and the power to change that timing and be more reflective and think about how we might, because nobody likes government imposing things on them. I truly believe if we have the lines in, that people will, after it's there, want to connect. They'll want connectivity. There's a lot of good reasons for it, and not the least of which is it enhances their property values. But there are many, many health safety issues with respect to that connectivity. A city our size should do that.
Well, Mike, I agree with you, Amy, and you, Mike. I think it's long-term. It's a health and safety issue, and what I'd be looking for would be, let's define, I'm sure it's going to be over some period of time. I think that needs to be reasonable given the balance of interest and the like, and also on the financial side of this, that is also over a period of time. So
absolutely, absolutely. Well, and I think the other thing, a lot of cities, as other cities charge for sidewalk repairs, I'm not sure that it should all be on Dublin. Maybe there's, a balance of, cost sharing on this. I don't know. I mean, we have the bulk of our residents who, live in neighborhoods paid to connect. Yeah. When they built their home, in one way or another, that cost was passed along to them.
It's a hard discussion, but it's a policy discussion.
It is, but I think we need to have it, and I think we need to have some sort of, long-term vision and long-term plan that folks can plan on and count on. And I'm interested in that discussion.
We prioritize those areas, as we've discussed before. You'd want to leave the other option open for emergencies, whereby if there was a significant issue in an area, that they could get together ahead of whatever that prioritization might have been with that 85% number or whatever it is, and maybe move it up on the chart. But
I agree.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate that maybe these reports, if I think all of council got these reports, right? But in the reports that there is no area right now that has been designated as a health issue in Dublin. Agreed. Okay? And the health department, there's two organizations that have come out and have actually tested all of the wells and all the other type of systems that exist. So, I think you're right that it's a matter of policy, and I think we had discussed that it would be during that CIP process. The challenge that we have with it being in the CIP process is that typically that's not a process where we have public discussion, for them to make comments. While we only got one letter from Mr. and Mrs. Parkhill who are not interested actually in hooking up. There are some people who are interested and some who are not. So I think we need to create a forum where we can hear from the public so that we get both of their points of view.
And Marilee, you're right, and it probably sounds like, unfortunately, another workshop, but I think that's the proper forum for this.
A workshop, though, isn't where we take public testimony, so that's why I think
we
could.
Well, we can. Maybe have a
It's at
special
our
meeting where
discretion.
we do that, yeah.
So.
We could do a broad brush at CIP, just kind of an overview, talk about the policies amongst ourselves, and then get some public input, and then we can fine tune those later, but.
I think it's important that we take the public comment on the front end, because there are a lot of people that feel passionately, and I think we need to weigh those public sentiments amongst all the other information that we
Maybe we could have that as an agenda item on our August meeting, so that people can come in, and then we would have that information for a CIP discussion.
Well, the policy of requiring implementation is really the fly in the ointment. You cannot mandatorily require people in 90 days, in my view. If you're going to put these lines in, you have to give people more time to work through that, whether it be their own personal financial issues or just so that it doesn't appear that government's absolutely forcing. So,
But I think what Marilee is getting to, and I agree with that, maybe we have this as an agenda item on August 10th, assuming that Megan can put all this together. And that's in advance of the CIP, so we have some public input, we have some things to work with during
Dana,
the CIP.
what do you think of that? We get it on?
So if I could suggest back. Yeah, I hear you loud and clear on the August 10th and the public hearing. I think we could be prepared. Okay, I think we can be prepared to.
You don't have anything else going on, Megan?
I think, so much for that vacation in July. No, I'm just kidding. So what staff would be prepared to do, and we've had some dialogue on this, is propose, and remember there's two different things here. There's a petitioning process and there's an extension policy.
Right.
So what we would be prepared to do is come back based on the areas and the analysis that's been done, and we would propose a prioritization of extension. Now remember, some of this is science and not art, because it's got to flow somewhere. So you got to be, there's got to be a systematic deployment or extension of system in order that it be done, properly. Then you can have another dialogue about the hookup requirement timeframe. I heard that one, whether you want to make that, require hookup if you're within so many feet in accordance with your standing policy, or you want to do something different, give people more time to hook up and so forth. So, and then at the same time, we will also bring back the petitioning process, which is the one whereby if you want to move your neighborhood ahead of the extension program, then you can petition to do that, but that also has to make sense relative to the science and not the art when it comes to.
And Dana, it sounds like it's something.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Okay.
and it sounds like something we'd have to coordinate with the annual CIP.
Absolutely, and that would be part of that, and we'll have to look at, obviously, our ability to fund such an extension program, and so we're starting to sharpen our pencils on that as well.
Very good.
And the last thing I have to bring up.
Excuse me, if I could just add something. I agree in an ideal world, that we would have everybody hooked up. I just want to make sure that we're prepared, because I would only support it, where there is a mandatory, a mandate that everybody hook up. And how many people are going to ask for exceptions and waivers? And I don't want to sit up here and, or ask staff to judge, somebody's, financial wherewithal. And what are the circumstances? Somebody needs, the what do we call it, the lift station and so forth, and they've got an otherwise, perfectly functioning, system, that could function well for 20 years into the future, and we're going to say, you know what, you're going to spend $25,000 to hook up, like it or not, and, maybe we're dealing with retirees or whatever else, so,
Agreed, it's a tough discussion, but it's one we need to have.
Okay.
Okay, the other thing I wanted to mention was that I attended the Ohio Municipal League Board meeting on Friday, and the hot topic, of course, was, besides the state budget, was the municipal income tax draft, which is this right here. And I have, you got a great synopsis of everything from the Ohio Municipal League. And Faye has, I can't remember if she emailed everybody that she will be coming in the fall to our meeting to talk about, to our Finance Committee meeting, to talk about the implications of all of the changes that are being recommended and by then would have been approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Tim?
Nothing, thank you.
You've had a long drive today, I know. John?
I just have a question for Michelle on the trying to make the cutoff for the bicycle-friendly status. Can you just give us an update where we're at in that?
I'll have to check on the next date when that's, I think it's twice a year that we have the opportunity to apply for that, so let me get back to you.
Let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Rick?
Nothing this evening, thank you.
Very good. I've got a couple things. I just wanted to put a special thank you out to Community Relations for what I consider to be a huge success on this Open for Business. I'm not sure what I was anticipating, but I was definitely concerned about what might happen with these closures. And I got to tell you, things are moving around in Dublin pretty good. So there's a lot of, we got the whole city torn up, but it's still moving around. So really hats off to all them and to staff and everybody that's helped make that happen. So I don't know if others are experiencing the same thing, but it's certainly not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I did a Boy Scout interview in here 2 weeks ago. It was kind of interesting and asking a lot of good questions. And then actually the mom got pretty well involved asking a lot of questions as well. So we did the Blue Star Memorial, the Muirfield Village Women's Garden Club on last Sunday. Fred, you were there. I saw you there, and Dana and Lisa, and we had a pretty good crowd. I'm guessing there was 75 to 100 people at the Cornet Band. It was a very nice program. The plaque is beautiful. You can see it from Bridge Street. They've turned it so that when the traffic goes by, it's really well done. I have to tell you, being in a jacket and long sleeve shirt and 90 degrees and humid, I was melting, but we got through it. So you were in shorts, as I recall.
I was not in shorts. I was in a sports shirt.
Oh, thank you. Anyway, it was.
You wouldn't want to see me in shorts.
It was well done and a very, very nice presentation. I know, John, you were involved with that early on as those discussions and helped put that program together. So thank you for that. Then the next day, we went to the OU campus. We planted a beautiful Japanese cherry tree for Arbor Day. The Arbor Day observance there, we had a big turnout. They had a lot of the people in, very well attended, and we just barely beat the rain, literally downpour at the last remarks. So that went very well. And I think that is it. We'll stand adjourned.
Whatever happened with the math stand?
I think they're fixing